Just gotta wait for that green little light. All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome to another Visionary Edge Podcast 2025. I am so excited to be here. Janelle and Sam have just put on such an amazing event, connecting so many like-minded people. I couldn't be more happier. I just met someone that turns out she has a podcast, and I was like, wait, why aren't you on here yet? So, without further ado, welcome to the Visionary Edge. Been there, done that. Podcast junkies. How's it going? First off, give me your name again.
My name is Samantha Peters.
Samantha Peters.
Yes.
Awesome, Samantha Peters. So, what brings you here to the Visionary Edge?
Yeah, so I was actually asked to speak. So I spoke this morning at the Visionary Edge conference. Oh. So it was incredible. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so you're one of the speakers, one of the leaders. I mean, you clearly have a pretty successful podcast, I'm assuming, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So how long have you been podcasting for?
I've been podcasting for about 2.5 years at this point. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's expanding quite a bit, and we've had so many phenomenal guests on, so it's really a blessing.
Oh, I love that. I mean, so you've been having some big guests. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Our studio, we have a lot of clients that come in, influencers and stuff right now, and I just want to know, do you ever get nervous when you're talking to these people?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Especially with big names. I mean, we had Trent Shelton on, and he always talks about, protecting your peace. So we just wanted to make sure he had an incredible experience, and we're asking those really tough questions to dig really deep. But it was really nice to be able to get to know him better. And with podcasting, you never know the relationships you can build. So he was on the podcast, and then he invited us to his 40th birthday in Texas. So we got to hang out with him. And then he also just invited me on his podcast. So it's really incredible, the connections that you get to make.
I love that. And now I learned this today. Make sure when you finish, get 2 more connections from that, right? Because that's a huge thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love that. So, all right, so what kind of gave you the inspiration to start your podcast?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I grew up with no mentors of my own. My parents were both on Social Security disability. I grew up in a really toxic upbringing, so I didn't really have anyone to look up to. And so then I started diving deep into personal development, listening to podcasts, reading, going to events like this, and I got to see a completely different world of people being so successful and being happy, right? I never grew up in a happy, loving, caring environment. So it really urged me to start the podcast, to bring on guests to help our audience become better and to up-level and to step in the greatest version of themselves.
Wow.
So.
Did you rehearse that? Because that was a really good answer.
Oh,
That was like a really good answer. Like, I love that. Was awesome. I love that. That's incredible. And I just want you to know, like, what you're doing is you couldn't imagine how. I mean, you're helping so many people, but like the impact. It's like really like it's crazy. I'm learning more and more. I'm helping people one-on-one starting podcasts, but I'm starting to get huge people coming into the studio, millions of followers, and they're like, oh, people are already asking when the show's dropping. They're like, we just recorded it, and I love to see that. It's awesome, and you're living proof of it, right? You have grown. Now, I guess a good question. I teach a lot of my clients about consistency and also being your true authentic self, right? And those I feel like is the key. Do you have any other advice or any other keys that you would think that can really help being a successful podcast?
Yeah, I think preparation is absolute key.
That is true. That is true.
My co-host and I always go over the bio. We come up with questions together. We come up with an outline. So definitely that. But then just showing up in your highest vibrational energy, right? Bringing your authenticity and just kind of like letting go of the outcome. And I think the biggest thing for us too is we were never good at public speaking, right? And so one of the other reasons why we started our podcast is to put ourselves in uncomfortable situations to get better at speaking, because speaking is so imperative to connect with people, to share your story. And so it gave us the ability to be able to reframe the, I guess, negative beliefs we had about that into a more empowering belief that, we can be incredible interviewers. And I would say that, I don't know about you, but I feel like interviewing is so much more difficult than actually being interviewed.
I think so. I mean, well, it's like a tug and pull, right?
Yeah.
It's also, I think, the guests, like, you got to be engaged, you got to listen, you got to be understanding, to be like, you know, that's something that I think I developed at a younger age. You know, I worked at a hotel when I first started. I was a bellman. So I met so many people, right? And as a young kid, I'm like talking to people and they're like, wow, you're really good at talking. Like, you know, let's keep talking. Like, you know, and that just developed the more I practiced. But you're so right. I mean, it's a totally different aspect. I mean, if I'll be completely honest with you, that was the first time I ever spoke in front of people on stage.
No way. You did amazing.
Well, thank you. I
Look at that.
appreciate
It's
it.
all the practice
But
behind
that
the
was
scenes.
like, my whole thing is I'm always interviewing. A one-on-one connection is breeze for me. I you know, if I try and find common ground, there's a lot. But when you're speaking to a bunch of people, and that's also with podcasting, you know, you're what you say, you do have to be conscious, but also, you know, you have an audience, right? And so standing out there, one of the best things that I told myself was, just pretend like you're doing a podcast with someone.
Exactly, yeah. It's
And
what you're
there's-
familiar with.
yeah.
It makes it easier, absolutely.
That's exactly what it was
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah, and then also I feel like even in the audience there's different personalities, so you need to be able to connect with everyone because everyone is driven by something different, right? A lot of people like money and success, but then other people also are driven by making an impact. So yeah.
Agreed, and that's something that I think also it entails, it kind of just comes with it that you will get, like, right, someone's making the impact of people, but those people are going to say, oh wow, he impacted me, oh, you should talk out to this guy, boom boom, and it correlates, right? You're going to make more money, you're going to then, right, or you go there out and you're just going to make money and you're going to do that, right? And that happens, right? And I'm sure with the people that you talk to, you probably have had so many so many different stories, so many, especially because are you targeting more people in the sense of, I know you said your upbringing wasn't, you know, as loving as, so are you targeting more people that had that upbringing and now they created something like successful and things like that? Is that kind of your goal? Or
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So we like to interview a lot of people who came from nothing. And
Okay,
so we interview a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, athletes, authors, anyone you could think of that is working at such a high level and making a really profound impact. So we like to really unpack the tools and skills and the mindset shifts that they had to develop and cultivate to become their best self, because it's not easy rewriting your mindset and stepping into your most powerful version. So yes, we give a lot of tactical tools our guests to help elevate our audience.
I love it. Okay, so I'm going to ask you one more question for just, actually, since you just spoke on it, you're giving that advice. What is one tip, advice, something for a young entrepreneur, someone even just starting their own business? What is one key advice you'd like to give?
Yeah, there's so many, but I think what's really helped me is keeping the promises I make to myself, because it builds resilience, it builds self-trust, it builds also self-confidence. And when you trust you, other people will trust you, because it's that energy exchange. So that's definitely been very pivotal in my life. If I say I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. in the morning to go to the gym, I am keeping the promises I make to myself. I'm doing the things I say I'm going to do. Exactly. And that's how you build momentum, that's how you build trust, and that's ultimately how you push forward.
I was going to say, that's how you get to your goals, right?
Exactly.
Those little tiny nuggets, those golden nuggets, those little, you know, making your bed, you know, doing all these things that it just gives you the value, right, to keep you propelling to success.
Yes.
And I love that. I mean, that's something that I teach all the time. But you know what's something that's really cool? Every person I've asked that question, it's a different answer.
Yeah?
Every single person that said something, like, I'm like, wow, oh, I like that. Oh, I like that. And that, what you just said was holding yourself accountable. I haven't heard that yet.
Wow.
Even though a lot of people do that. But that's one piece of advice. So I just, again, thank you, Samantha, right?
Yep.
Samantha, where can people find you?
That's a great question. So my website is lightupyourlife.org, and you can find me on Instagram. It's Samantha Lynn Peters, my full name.
Samantha Lynn Peters. Again, thank you so much for taking the time and talking with me. This was great. This was
it was a
nice
great conversation.
I like looked over and I was like, you want to come over? And you're like, all right, sure.
Yeah,
and
let's do it.
So thank you again, Samantha.
No
I'm definitely going to check you out, and you know, we'll stay tuned. So we'll stay in touch, all right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Nice to
much.
meet you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.